Welcome to Peace, Perspective, and Poetry.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another evening of conversation, thoughts, and perspective. Tonight, we are honoring Adama, Heraldess Adama. Those who don't know, Adama is about detoxing, purification, and alignment. This is Adama's 22nd year on the air, and we're going into 2022. Healer, dancer, musician, vocalist, chef, and numerologist, seeker, passionate, fearless, caring, quality, determined, leader, loving, eloquent, elegant, and regal. You have done so much, but what is your vision of the world where your message is embraced?
Thank you, Dada. Thank you so much for having me, thinking of me, and the love and the respect and the appreciation, the love, the sisterhood, friendship that we've had over these last 23 years.
Hasn't been that long.
It's been that long, since it's been that long. And and so I generally like to start with a little bit of this. Everybody would just take a deep breath. Oh, absolute presence. You are the absolute reality. Whoa, whoa, cosmic I am. Oh, absolute and supreme intelligence, so created that is everywhere. We're so grateful. And we're so thankful for the blessedness that you are in each of our lives as that which is divinely designed us. You beat our hearts, you breathe in us. You've gifted us so much of your own absolute and supreme intelligence, and there is no greater wealth that we can have than being these living, loving, intelligent, potent, and immortal points of your own absolute and supreme intelligence. We're so grateful and so thankful for your presence that is the greatest and the lowest common denominator between all orders of existence, that you transcend humanity. You are that which is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. We are afloat on this biospheric intergalactic spaceship with these bodies that have been perfectly designed for this intergalactic travel. And we thank you for that which needs to be shared, that which needs to be heard, that which needs to be said, that which needs to be internalized and felt in this now moment. And as we are issuing out the frequency of 2021 and embracing 2022, the sixth frequency of universality, community, harmony, peace, joy, more collaboration and collectivity, we give thanks that we each are being completely cleared, cleansed, purified, renewed, rebirthed, regenerated, rejuvenated, revitalized, revivified, so that we are the insurance of the liberation, the resurrection, the reconciliation, the harmonization of humanity as that which is here to be an honor and a glory to the lineages that we represent in harmony with Mother Earth, Mother Nature, all of her creatures. And we give thanks as the old system of delusion and lies and control and imperialism and capitalism and all of that is falling. The kingdoms and queendoms of light are rising with each and every one of us. Thank you for the blessedness in being. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your truth. Thank you for the gift that we each are. And thank you that we are being the gift that we were born to be, is these living, loving, intelligent, potent, and immortal points of being. Thank you. Ashe, Ashe, I say, oh. And so peace is accomplished love. And love is the harmony of truth. And the truth is that we are so absolutely and supremely blessed with each and every breath and every beat of our hearts. And I am so grateful that from the very, very, very young, I have always wanted to know, and I knew something was wrong in the world, and I wanted to know what it was, and I wanted to do something about it. And so the ask and it shall be given, the knock and the door would be open, to seek and we would find. I have been knocking and seeking and asking and internalizing and praying and fasting and cleansing and doing this so that I am able to do something about it. But I know this is not this is not a one-woman show. It's an all being intelligence issue. And we each have the opportunity to be fully participatory in the greatest period of history thus far. And that's us throwing the shackles of delusion, illusion, separation, violation, adulteration, and all of that off, and being in a place where we can bathe consistently in the light of the absolute and supreme intelligence that is all there is as existence itself. And so I am minister, wife, mother, sister, business owner, servant. And I'm just very, very grateful. I've been in tears all evening with the thought and my prayers and my commitments. Many people don't really have the thought that as we get older, we should really be becoming better. We should be maturing. We should not be getting old and decrepit and demented and full of Alzheimer's and all of that. That is the old paradigm, and that has to go. And those of us who have been tuned in, tapped in, familiar with me on the radio, from my circles or whatever, know that I'm the one that really cares to see us walk in the greatness of who we each are. And I'm all right with being that one to press and stress the path of that.
Oh, I want to ask you this question, Adama, so that we can be on the in the forward motion of the thing, because that's beautiful what you just said. Thank you for sharing that. But if for those who see things, who are more hands-on, how would you describe how you see the world, say X amount of years from now, and people have embraced all of your teachings and they're living that life? What would their everyday look like? Or what is your vision of what the world looks like in a hands-on perspective of they've done it, they're doing it. Now they're doing it, and this is what the world looks like to you, whether it be you're in a circle, your city, society, the world, however, what would that look like to you?
Well, I see the world as we know it. I'm gonna make a distinction between the world and the earth.
Okay.
The world, I'm saying, has the right to be destroyed. The world being the sphere of the mentality that has been influenced by religion and government and imperialism and capitalism and all of that. That world, as we know it, is shifting and changing. And so as that falls, those who are intelligences of existence, right? And this is embracing all hues, all hues of being, all beings directly. It's an intelligence issue. So that intelligence is so intelligent that it exalts a full effort in its living. So those of us who will be living, will be loving, will be harmonizing with the will of existence and know that we cannot work against ourselves and survive it. And there's only one self. So that the brotherhood and sisterhood of man and humanity and the embracing of the creatures, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, everything has the right to its life. That this is a mentality that is coming forward as we are aware that there is only one absolute and supreme intelligence that sees through every eye. And we are being harmonized as these points of it. So we are taking responsibility to honor the optimum cellular functioning, the requisite of being in a body that is perfectly and divinely designed. We don't have desire for inebriants and intoxicants and artificial colors and flavors, and no one will be able to work on behalf of sickness, illness, disease, and death. Everybody will be exalting a full effort, fully participatory in life and living and exalting life and having high ethic and morality and sensibility in love being the harmony of the truth, that what we do unto another is going to be reflected back to us because there are laws that govern. So we're talking about a period where the lawfulness, our institutions that we're laying foundation for, will be teaching law, it will be teaching light, it will be teaching how to be conscious of our cosmic citizenship and our conscious immortality. It will be allowing us to really fully participate as co-creators in existence, activating our imagination, our visioning, our faith, our confidence. You understand? Because the world, as we know it, has undermined, or I'll put it this way, these people have figured a way, as they have desecrated the grave sites and living sites of the Aboriginal, the Indigenous, the Native, robbed the Pharaoh's tombs. They figured out a way to rob the intelligences of existence, or rob the temples of the living gods and goddesses of our wealth, our treasures, our riches, our diamonds, our ore, our gold, our high ethic, our morality, our sensibility, our confidence, our faith, our sense of entitlement as to whose we are and who we are. And so all of that is being restored. We're seeing that that's our work, is to get beyond all of the divisiveness of race, religion, sex, nation, gender, politics, and all of that, to embrace the reality that we are on a planet and there are no borders here. You understand? The earth is a whole sphere, and she provides for everybody. And now those of us who will live with the conscious intention to be honorable to that which supports our life, not desecrate it, not defile it, not disrespect it, but to be in a place where we are really exalting the wholeness, what the church has called holiness. I'm referring to it as wholeness, completeness, integrity. You understand? 360 degrees of love, light, wisdom, truth, peace, poise, power, potency, prosperity, and really regaining the wealth of ourselves. So
Right.
that we're able to truly honor the lineages through whom we've come. Those who have given so much of themselves, they sacrifice, we are the beneficiaries of their realizations, their revelations, their epiphanies, their labor, their service, their intellectual property. We have access to so many of the great thoughts of those ones who've come before us. And now is our time to incorporate the light of that and then to become the light, so that we're giving our gifts and we're laying a foundation for a new earth and a new humanity that is secured in absolute love, absolute light, absolute wisdom, and absolute truth, so that we'll see greater cooperation. We'll see that we don't have to be in this warfare. You understand? It's like,
We'll be in peace.
Under the world, right? The ones that you love and you share the most intimate parts of yourself with become the ones you war with. You understand? And so no, now we get a chance to set a new culture, life culture, instead of death culture, where we know that we're here to love and support each other's living. We're here to learn how to be free in our expression of giving. We're here to really master ourselves to the degree to which we are always being clearer, cleaner vehicles and vessels of the love of God, the light of God, the truth of God, the peace of God, the poise of God, God being life itself, harmony and wholeness, which we all are participating in on a planet that is 80% water, spinning in the realm of eternity already, and is providing us absolutely everything that we require.
That's perfect. Thank you. You gave an excellent expression of what peace looks like in the future. Thank you for that. So you said earlier that when you've had this mission on your heart since you were younger, like childhood. Can you name anything specific that put you on this path, or something that specifically happened or reoccurred often to get you to that point of saying, wait a minute, this something has to be done about this? Was it a pivotal thing, or was it an accumulation of things?
My mother made commitments for my life when the doctors, surgeons told her that I had become comatose after open heart surgery at 4. And the hospital floor caught fire while my chest was open, and I turned completely blue. And so their prognosis was, we're sorry, we've lost her. There's nothing we can do. We'll put her in an oxygen tent, but we think that she's going to be a human vegetable because she turned completely blue. And so my mother, who had not made commitments for my life up to that point, had to make commitments. And the commitments that my mother made and prayed and had people in agreement with her, my uncle, her brother, his church, and my grandmother, and Unity School of Christianity prayer lines, and all of the ones who donated the 40 pints of blood that I needed and whatnot, and the commitments she made. Let my baby live, and I promise you, Lord, that she will live to do your work. Let my baby live, and I promise you that she will live to do your work. Now, I grew up elementary school listening to this story because my mother, I'm the rock upon which she found her faith. And so she would speak at Women's Day programs and Mother's Day programs and whatnot, and make commitments to see me through school. And then she would go into the ministry herself. Now, between that open heart surgery and my being 19 and 20, I had gone through profuse nosebleeds in and out the hospitals all of my childhood. I got hit by a car at 10. I almost drowned in the Atlantic Ocean at 14. I got hit by another car at 16, had to learn how to walk again, blood transfusions, hospitalized for 5 months. I fell asleep at the wheels of cars. I've been raped. I've survived so many things up to 19, 20, and then in college at the University of Florida, when my sociology courses were saying 20,000 Black Americans die every year from sugar diabetes, and another 15,000 are dying every year from complications from obesity, and another 12,000 are dying from cancer of the liver, and all of these things, my head begins to spin. And when they said that they had no cause, no cure, but because of affirmative action, I'm a double minority, so I could get paid for doing the research. 30,000 students, 1,500 were Black. I went to college in 1975. So this is my junior year, 1978. And at this point in time, this is when I realized that those ones, Fauci, Gates, their parents, whatnot, they had already put certain things in place to depopulate the planet by 3.5 billion, their global 2000 plan. I became aware of it then. And when I prayed and asked God to show me what it actually is, then I realized that the disease was coming from the things that we were eating, and that these things were the businesses of the lineages who captured us, enslaved us, beat us, raped us, declared that we were less than human. We had no rights that they had the responsibility to respect. And they just didn't deserve another dime. So I went on a personal economic boycott. I'm not giving you another damn dime. And I went from eating absolutely everything to having fruit in the morning, huge salads in the evening. And I just transformed. I was the first Black woman to be elected to the student government at the University of Florida. I was president of the Deltas for the last year and a half. I was there my junior year and senior year. I organized the organization of all of the 22 Black organizations on the University of Florida campus. And all of this after I changed my diet and I got the clarity of mind that brought my professors to their freaking knees. They cried like babies with me. And so from that point to now, I have just been consistently unfolding, growing, knocking, asking, seeking, and consciously caring to live to make a difference in the world. And that was a commitment that I made. I had a social movements class. And in that social movements class, it was a night class. And it's my senior year, very distinguished European brother. And he asked us to write down what it is we wanted to do with our lives. And I put down that I wanted to be the extension of our liberation as a people, because I watched the March on Washington as a little girl and everything in me knew I should be progression of that. And so I put that down and he played this reel-to-reel tape of all of the voices of the Black Power movement, the Civil Rights movement. You're talking Angela Davis, Medgar Evers, Kathleen Cleaver, Eldridge Cleaver, Stokely Carmichael. I mean, all of these voices in the course of one evening. When I left that class, I was so full. I got into my car and I drove to the edge of campus and I screamed and I hollered, let me live to make a difference in this world or let me not live at all. But I refuse to be enslaved. And that commitment I've been consistently recommitting and recommitting and recommitting and recommitting over these last 43 years since then.
Oh, very, very informative and deep. Thank you for sharing that, Adama. It seems from what you were saying in regards to the track that your mother was on, that you would have gone a religious route. What occurred to expand, to cause you to expand past the limitations of any specific type of following?
The doctor, the pediatrician who saved my life, right? Dr. Lulabelle Stewart. Now, this is going back to when I was 4. And my mother was taking me all around to all the hospitals, and the Jews ran the hospitals in Detroit at the time. And they would tell her, we don't find anything wrong with her. We don't find anything wrong with her. But we happened to move next door to Dr. Stewart on Dexter Avenue. And Dr. Stewart put me on her table, and she was the one who discovered the heart murmur, did the exploratory surgery and whatnot. Now, 2 years after that surgery, Dr. Stewart passed away after surgery for leukemia. I was 6. And so her passing, her death, her body was the first experience with death that I had as a child. And because I was aware that she saved my life, I'm at the wake and I'm looking at the body and I'm trying to figure out if she's in the body, if she's away from the body, if the body, what, this death thing. So nobody could talk to me about what death is. So when I left my parents at 11 and went to live with my grandmother, I would go to the cemeteries across the street. Detroit, you got to drive to the cemetery from the church after funeral. In Jacksonville, the cemetery is in the yard of the church. So I would go across the street to the yard, Mount Carmel Baptist Church. And I would look at the name and I would look at the date and I'd look at the line, I'd look at the other date and I'd see the cross. So I took this panoramic view of all of the crosses on the headstones. And then I looked up at the church and saw the cross on the church. So that the cross in the graveyard symbolized death to me. And I never believed in death. And nobody could talk to me. So I stopped going to church at 11. Now, I come from a line of ministers. My mother went to the ministry. Her brother was a minister, big church. Their grandfather, their mother, who graduated from Spelman, she was born 1899. She was a Spelman College graduate. She worked with Mary McLeod Bethune. She prepared men for the ministry. All of her brothers graduated from Morehouse. They mostly were doctors, PhDs, and ministers, reverends. So I come from a line of those. But I'm the first one to give up the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the chicken, the fish, the alcohol, the tobacco, the sugar, and all of that.
Can you speak a little bit more in depth in regards to giving up all of those different things for those who are not familiar with you? Why the extremity of those things? And can it be, why not some of it? Why all of it?
Because one, these, and this was my thought in college, these are not our businesses.
Okay.
Right? These are not our businesses. These are the businesses of these other ones. So I'm like, I'm not going to support you.
Okay.
Then when we realize that there is a perfect and divine functioning of our bodies, and we've got this plethora of sickness, illness, and disease, then through fasting and prayer, the desires of our heart will be granted unto us. The body is 80% water, like the earth is 80% water. Right? We are all breatharian. We have to breathe.
Right.
Right? And so the breathing is the animating force of our lives. So when I went to the graveyard as a child and saw the first date, that first date, the day we're born, the first time we take our first breath, right? And then the last date is the day we take our last breath, or the inspiriting and the expiration, right? The spirit comes in and then the spirit leaves, but the line constitutes the life. So the line is the respiriting, the respiration, the breathing, the respiriting of the body has to come through the breath. Now, because we were brought up on breakfast cereals, pancakes, waffles, donuts, Pop-Tarts, Toastums, all of the stuff that we all loved, right? Right? Second grade, the teacher say, tell your mom to bring 2 cups of flour to school. We're going to do art. Take the 2 cups of flour to school. We mix it with water and it makes paste. And we did our paper mache with the paste. So the pancakes, the waffles, the pasta, the pastries, donuts, bread, bagels, all of that is what is constituting the asthma, the COPD, all of the obstruction of our respiratory system, blocking the breath. And now we got this mandate for masks and all of this stuff following the bozos. So just understanding that we don't need any of the stuff that we grew up with, the flesh of dead animals, the aborted fetuses of chickens, the pus and mucus of cows, artificial colors, we would have grown and matured without any of it. None of it is a necessity. It's all junk. Junking up the trunk. Now the trunk is from the neck to the pelvic area, right? So we get up and we brush the teeth and we take the sleep out our eyes, we swab our ears, we blow our nose, we cough up the mucus, we bathe and bathe and bathe between the legs, between the toes, crack our behind. And then we've been taught to put junk in the trunk. So now we got all this junk in the trunk. Where your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your spleen, everything that's vital except for the brain is in the trunk.
Right.
So I'm saying, let's clean the trunk daily Like we brush the teeth and we bathe the outside of the body, between the toes, between the legs, crack our behind. Let's do the whole system.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask you about, there's a story that you've told me about you that I love hearing. So I'm going to ask you about that. The barefoot years. I love hearing that story. I would like for you to share that.
1992, the end of May, which was literally the anniversary of my grandmother's passing, and her son, my mother's brother, they passed on the same day, May 31st.
Wow.
2 years apart, right? And my grandmother lived to be 86. And I think my Uncle Richard probably passed away in his 50s. All right. And so the Rodney King beating was being just thrown in our face. All right. And the media just kept replaying and replaying and replaying the police beating his brother silly. And then they acquitted the officers. And so I got real intense about it. I was working for New Leaf Distributing at the time. And when that verdict came in, V103 was asking for a response to it. And this was the first time in the 5 years that I was working for this company, metaphysics, holistic health books. I was in 5,000 square feet of all of these books. Sidelines, incense, oils, crystal bowls, we sold it all. I was right in there for 5 years. And so I wrote this piece called In Response to the Decision in the Rodney King Beating Case. And when I wrote it and I was in tears. And I typed it up and I took it down to V103 offices, had it really nice. Carol Blackman and Mike, somebody were the anchors.
Right, this is in Atlanta, V103.
This is here in Atlanta. And so I called, so I left it there. And then I called Carol Blackman and got her on the phone. And I told her, I said, you have been asking for a response to the decision in the Rodney King beating case. I left one with you, but because of the nature of it, I don't think you'll be able to read it on the air. And so I read it to her. I'm at that point, America, where I can't keep quiet and I can't keep still. For I've been held in the silence, and I've been silenced over the last 500 years of my own personal rage at your inherent distortions, your foundational atrocities, and visions of a not too distant reality of Americans dying in her own streets as karmic debt for your participation in the usurpation, the devastation, the bastardization of every form of life, seen and unseen, within, upon, and above the earth. I'm at that point, America, where I can't keep quiet and I can't keep still. Because now there's so very many voices asking the questions, why, how, when, and so very few with the right answers, so very few telling the absolute truth. Though intentions are noble, wisdom, light, and the creator's will is absent, as is evidenced in the continued allegiance to the battle of the ballot and a political system and government that does not in truth exist. I'm at that point, America, where I can't keep quiet and I can't keep still, because the caution and fear I had years ago at the thought of what you do to the real messengers you do to me is no longer there, because there's another generation approaching adulthood where the adulterations and conscious responsibility in being, the lies, the inconsistencies, the indiscretions become easier to accept, to live with, to die with, and to excuse with ruses of nonsensical, illogical, pathological, scriptorial tutelages of the God spells. I'm at that point, America, where I can't keep quiet and I can't keep still, because thousands are dying daily from the poison of your plan, the madness in your hand, the stupidity of your logic, the reality of your lies, your deceit, your conceit, and confusion in the lives of the living, who are in truth the dying because you feed them death. In the food and in your meaningless words of justice and equality. Where is the justice, America? Justice for the billions of lives you've destroyed in only 220 some years, billions of lives in your excavations, your massacres, your wars, your nuclear testings, and legalized genocide disguised as free enterprise. Lives in every form imaginable. The Justice America is in your fall, your destruction, and the resurrection of the children of light, those who can go beyond all barriers of class, race, religion, sex, nation, gender, preference, and otherwise, to rise in the establishment of the kingdoms and queendoms of light, in harmony with and as evidence of eternal law, eternal order, and the eternal government. Justice is not yours to give, America, but it is that which you will receive, and that's no brag, just fact. Later that evening, one of my brothers in the community was found hanging behind a Union City, Days Inn or something. And he used to come and spend time with me in my office. And he was a writer, he was a prolific writer. David Adolphus Tall. And the last time I had seen him, Tassili and Baba G and myself and our community, we were drumming and dancing at the turn of the year. And then in March, I called him and I said, "You're on my mind, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm just sitting here waiting to die." And I don't remember our conversation after that until I sat with his body. Now, I was already intense from the passing of my grandmother, the Rodney King decision, and now I'm sitting with this brother's body in the basement of Sellers Brothers funeral home, reeking with formaldehyde, on a gurney with the blood and dirt still in his locks. And so I went back to my office, and it was a full moon. And at that time, New Leaf was on Fulton Industrial. And so we had keys so that we could get in and work flex time outside. So I went and I took my shoes off that night. And I walked circles and circles and circles. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I committed and I vowed to not be so busy that I can't hear or attend to the need for someone to have their life affirmed. And I didn't put my shoes back on for 5.5 years after that. And people say, "Well, why did you do that?" And I said, because I stepped on a path of life that required me to take my shoes off to walk it.
Right.
And I was in every major city up and down the East Coast, from Miami to Long Island. I took a leave of absence. I could not work like I couldn't be business as usual. And I was in Jamaica, Queens, walking on literally what seemed to be just glass. And I had, my jewelry, all my rings, my headpieces, my bracelets, my anklets, 17 anklets on each one, these big brass napkin holders on my big toes and fabrics and whatnot. And people looked at me and they were trying to figure out, what the hell is she on? And they say, "Sister, what God do you pray to? And where are your shoes?" And I said, "I don't have any." And I would just keep walking. And I realized that Mother Earth is big, to be as big as a dot within the realm of eternity in which we are. But she's huge otherwise to us. So there's dirt, there's mud, there's silt, there's sand, but there is no filth on Mother Earth. So the filth that people were concerned about, me walking barefoot through the filth, I realized was the refuse from what I refer to as the products of the corporate deities of death.
Mm.
So we're talking the glass bottles, broken bottles from the alcohol industry, the soda industry, the aluminum pop tops from the aluminum cans, from the cigarette filters and butts, the styrofoam from the fast food places, the chicken bones, the hamburger corners. I mean, all of this stuff. And then in New Orleans, at the bus stop, you would see the eyes and the tentacles of the crayfish where people are just going like this, and they're eating the crayfish and leaving the head of it on the ground at the bus stop. And I realized that this is the refuse. This is the packaging. The real filth is actually in the people. And by this time, November of 1992. So I started in May with the Rodney King decision, and in November with President Clinton's inaugural festivities, where everybody had to be a part of the party of our first Black president. I looked at that and I created this piece called It's Amazing, calling for the boycott of the death industries. And so that's why I emphasize the cleansing, the consecration, because the methodology of our oppression has been to oppress our cellular functioning. We are breatharian first, so we cannot really eat consistently over time that which creates all of this mucus that hardens. So hardened mucus in the eyes is the glaucoma and the blindness. In the ear is the deafness. In the joints and whatnot is the arthritis with the acidity that comes from the beef, the pork, the chicken, the fish, the everything other than fruit and vegetation. And so where we are now, where we're seeing the agenda that's going forward in people trying to mandate that we take poison. Now, we already poisoned. All of the actual pandemic is one, that abortion is the #1 killer of us as a people. Heart disease is the #1 killer of all people. Then you have all of the cancers, the upper respiratory issues, the strokes, the aneurysm. So we got 10 million people dying annually from 10 major issues that nobody's addressing. And so that's why I focus so much with that, because we get no support. So my husband calls me and he says he's in the hospital 2 days ago. He said he was waiting. He felt lightheaded, dizzy, whatever. So he drove himself to the hospital. And I called him yesterday morning. And so he's telling me that they're saying that he's got blood clots in his legs and in his lungs, and, you know, and I can't necessarily get him to do everything that I do. But anyway, I go to the hospital and they want you to wear the mask, right? And of course I'm resistant to the mask. So I have, my headscarf, and then I drape it around here looking like a Muslim woman, right? And I go upstairs. So they got this thing, you got to sign in, you got to be on the list, got to get this little orange bracelet. So I go upstairs to his room and they say, oh, well, he can only have one visitor at a time. And so somebody's already in there. I said, I'm going to see my husband. All right, so I'm going to go in. Well, you know, with all of the COVID going on, you know, Emory is just having to be real careful. I said, yeah, y'all careful, except you don't say anything about continuing to feed the people the flesh of dead animals, the aborted fetuses of chickens, the pus and mucus of cows, and all the stuff that's making them sick. You say nothing. The sisters just looked at me, right? Sisters running everything. And I said, I'm going to his room. And they said, you're going to wait for him? No, I'm going to his room. I'm going to see my husband. And his son can come out. So when I got in there and whatnot, and I just laid all over him and kissed him all over. And he's like, you see what I had to deal with? And so the son didn't leave, and we stayed in there, and they didn't say anything. But the reality is that we have been complicit and complacent and co-conspirating with our own cellular oppression, that our education has given us license, certification, and degreeing to be the ones who maintain and create sickness, illness, and disease as popular and common activity, collective learning and education, and the path of prosperity.
And on that note, Adama, I would like for you to, because I know on the website, we have some links to have access to the information or your message. I don't know if you want to add anything or put anything specifically in the chat for people if they would like to have access to maybe your writings or your anything, any access to you and your information. How would you prefer for people to be able to connect with you in addition to what is already written on our site, thecg137.org? What else would you want?
Well, I have a lot of archives, audio, my monologues, at bbsradio.com/Adama Speaks.
bbsradio.com/Adama Speaks. Folks, my typing is, wait, I took a typing test and then I'm not gonna tell you what happened. Okay, all right.
And so there's a button that says archives, and if they scroll down to archives, they can click. And I've been dealing with them probably about 9 years. So there's about 9 years of monologues there. And of course, I'm still on radio with WRFG Thursday night, 9 to 3.
Yeah.
And so I'll begin to do new programming. I've just been running the year. I produced a whole year of programming. I've just been replaying it because it's the kind of stuff where you'll never know who's listening anyway. So
right.
Run it, right? And right. But as of the 1st, I will be reproducing new programming and consciously caring to get a direct, my direct downloads of messaging, insight, inspiration, whatever, because with the frequency of the energy shifting, the universal energy of 2022, we need to be in a place where we are intensely intentional in walking in the greatness of who we are. The messaging about the food, now they're saying, oh, well, there's going to be a food shortage. And I'm saying, yay. I say, because if you talk about meat, dairy, eggs, chicken, fish, alcohol, all of the stuff that we call food, we don't have to have it anyway. We just need fresh air, right? And we have already seen the examples of those who live from the sun and the air and the atmosphere. All right. Now it says, as a man or woman thinketh, so is he or she. So when we are realizing that we're intelligences of existence, we are not human eaters, human feeders, useless eaters, as they're calling us. We are intelligences of existence. And the sun and the earth and the green and the oxygenation and the sky, everything that we require is already available. But what we have not understood is that as we do our personal consecration, clearing, purification of our bodies, and the consecration is infusing every atom and every cell with our intensity of intention to serve life, infusing every fiber of our being with our thanksgiving, our gratitude, and our commitments to that which beats our hearts and breathes us. You understand? So infusing upon every atom and every cell of our being that we will stand on behalf of life. We will stand in love. We will master ourselves. You understand? And as we're radiating this love, you understand? Because see, the intelligence of existence is everywhere, and we are these points of it. So the more love we're in, the more light we're in, the more the earth will respond to us. And our food, that which we really need as nutrition, will begin to grow at our feet. And people don't know how God actually works. You understand?
Yes.
We don't realize that
Right.
life is God, that Mother
Yes.
Earth, the laws that govern existence. You understand? And the obedience and obedience to that. You understand? So it's like, okay, well, we want the fullness of the grace and the protection. We want the fullness of prosperity, and you know, we want no arms formed against us shall prosper. We want all of the perks of being the children of God, but then we don't want to be that godly. We don't want to be that righteous. We don't want to be that clean. We don't want to be that loving. We don't want to be that forgiving. We don't want to be that merciful. We don't want to be that compassionate. We don't want to be that virtuous. We don't want to be that integritous. We don't want to be free from inconsistency, contradiction, and hypocrisy. We would rather be a little sullied. Well, sister, you know, it ain't good to be too clean, you know, and oh, sister, you know, I can't tolerate the thought of sticking that up my butt. Or sister, you know, I gotta have my marijuana. Oh, I gotta do the plant mint. You understand? So I'm just saying, y'all need to realize this. When you are being warred against, you cannot afford to do anything to undermine yourselves.
Right. And just for clarification, when you were, the other reference you made, you were speaking of enemas, correct?
Yes. Clean that trunk, because a lot of people don't get it. You understand?
Right.
I deal with older men who have prostate issues, prostate cancer, and they got these big bellies, and you don't realize that the wall of the intestines is very thin. So if you've got all of this stuff that's just sitting there, it begins to seep out into the rest of your body.
Right.
You understand? So the colon, they say, oh, the gut is the root of all diseases in the gut. The gut is what they call the second brain. You understand?
Right.
It put us in a
Right.
place where we cannot function optimally because we do not have the fluidity, you understand, of life force. We got blockage and obstruction with our circulation, with our neurological energy, with our glandular functioning, with our reproductive system, with our colons. You know, I'm talking to people and I'm asking them, now I've been doing life support and facilitating people's healing for over 20 years. And I don't think a lot of people who have known me from time before even realize what I do, because I'm finding and hearing that people are dying out here. So many vegan vegetarians have passed away. And I'm like, I had no idea they were sick. But what are we passing away from? Breast cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer. What does that mean? Acidity.
Mm-hmm.
Acidity. Toxins. We just holding on to feces and waste. And they give us more poison. And I'm saying the body's already poisoned. So we facilitate the cleansing. And then we facilitate the nutrition, the nourishment, the cellular nourishment. And then the body will heal itself, provided you're in your right mind. So I provide the affirmations, the cosmic I am, the audio files, a food list and whatnot, plus links to my content so that people can kind of keep me in their ear. But to realize this, each one of us is the god or goddess that dwells in our own temple. The body is the temple. And this temple is where we meet God, is in the temple, not at the mosque, the synagogue, the church, not over, you understand, right here where we are. And we're always with this.
All the time.
All the time, until you ain't.
Right. Right.
So while we're here, I'm just saying there's a benefit that we get mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, when we invest in creating the wealth of ourselves. Now, under capitalism, these people have us going all outside. We all into this money thing. And I'm saying money is a man-made construct. Good concept. We should have thought of it. You understand? But we were trading bees and other things. You understand? Cowrie shells. We had a lot of stuff going on long before they printed dead men's heads on the thing, right? But you
Right.
could take all of the money that has ever been printed and all of the coin that has ever been minted, put it all together. It does not have the value of one beat of our heart or one breath that we take.
Right.
So being in the mind, remembering the divinity of your being, remembering and getting into your sense of, I would say, entitlement. See, because England is a very small place on the planet, but these ones who walk as supposedly royal, they walk with a sense of entitlement. These ones who are going into Africa to China, they function with a sense of entitlement that they have the right to do these things. And I'm saying, in our clearing, our cleansing, our consecration, our purification, we step back into the mind of God. It's the prodigal children returning home. Home is what? Into the mind of God, the truth of our own divinity, the truth of all divinity, and the entitlement of being these ones, the entitlement of the expectancy of knowing how the law works. Ask and it shall be given, knock and the door will be open, seek and ye shall find. Dwelling in the reality of the infinity of possibilities. If these bozos can do what they doing, that ain't even in anybody's best interest.
Yes.
Because they feel a sense of entitlement. I'm saying, so now we got to get with some righteous indignation and get to our entitlement to walk in the greatness of the who and the whose we are as these living, loving, intelligent, potent, and immortal points of this absolute and supreme intelligence to the glory of the lineages through whom we've come. And on behalf of the wholeness of Mother Earth, Mother Nature, all of her creatures, and for the resurrection of a fallen humanity.
Thank you, Adama. Thank you for this informative and knowledgeable show episode. I meant to have more acknowledgement of you. I hope that that was achieved. I know that you got your message out there. I just, yeah. Thank you for being who you are. I truly, truly, truly acknowledge you. I admire you. I'm so grateful that you took up the mantle and said, I'm going to take on this message, because this mission, because a lot of people are called, but not everyone answers. So thank you for being who you are in the world. Thank you for being of service truly to others, because that's who you are. Your mission is the upliftment of all, so that we can all rise. And on that note, we are now at the end of our episode. And thank you again. Thank you for this opportunity to give back. And thank you for being you.
Thank you. You're always welcome. And I love you all with the perfect love. And that means I want for you that which I want for myself, that which I want for my son, that which I want for my lineages. And that's to stand in the glory of the all that we each are as these points of this absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. Where we are rising is destiny. There is no way in hell, within the earth or upon the earth, that those who have no love, no light, no wisdom, no truth, those who have been on a world conquering rampage for generations, there's no success in it. It's not sustainable. You cannot be about undermining people and think that there's some prosperity in it. That's so right. We have to walk in the wealth of ourselves. So that's my perfect love to you, is to make sure that you know how to do that.